As the mobile device market exploded, so did Blackberry. But in recent years, a lack of direction meant they lost market share. But now they are back with a clearer focus and direction. The first of the new devices to come out under this more focused Blackberry was the Passport. Reviewing it a couple of months ago, I concluded that whilst a very good device, a not quite so wide version of the Passport with the classic Blackberry keyboard is what I think it needs to win more of the power and consumer users back. Well, as it happens, this is what we now have. The Blackberry Classic, and I do believe it has what it takes to win some of the old faithful fans back. The Classic does not try to do it all. It is focused on mobile productivity, but it is not really slacking when you consider the key specifications and features. In an age of mobile devices dominated by touchscreens, the addition of a keyboard is somewhat unusual and almost retro. Whatever your preference in terms of mobile operating system, you can see a need for such a device in the market. On first glance, the Classic looks quite large with the screen at the top and the keyboard at the bottom, but in hand it does not feel so. It's only a little wider and no taller than the Sony Z3 Compact I use as my daily driver. At 178 grams and 10.2 millimeters thick, the handset is neither slim or lightweight, but it certainly feels solid in hand and gives me the confidence it could last the test of time. The 4-row backlit QWERTY keyboard with the traditional Blackberry shortcuts is what is so appealing here. It is comfortable when entering large volumes of text, and it is without doubt possible to get a greater degree of accuracy than on some smartphones, depending on how proficient you are and which on-screen keyboard you usually use. To capitalize letters, use the up arrow key found on the left or right of the keyboard. And to use an accented character found on almost all keys, press the Alt key on the left of the keyboard. Above the keyboard, you have a call button, the Blackberry button, the optical trackpad, the back and end call button. You can press all of these to complete an action. The trackpad is more impressive than you may think. You can alter the sensitivity, and it makes it simple to scroll through large pages or documents of text or screens of emails, as well as being functional in opening apps, menus, and more by pressing it. At 3.46 inches, the display is somewhat small by today's standards, but sit that on top of the Classic keyboard and it works quite nicely. With a 1:1 aspect ratio, the screen has a 720 by 720 resolution, which results in a pixel per inch count of 294. The adverse effect of this ratio is that when it comes to video playback, be it from the web or that captured on the camera, it does not use the whole display. You get thick black bars top and bottom of the content, reducing the overall size of the footage. If you read a lot of news articles, the reader mode in the web browser is a handy addition, stripping out less necessary content and giving you an optimized view. Whilst not the sharpest and most detailed of displays, the results are perfectly acceptable on this screen size. The Classic runs the same Blackberry 10.3 OS which is on the Passport. This latest version has received many improvements to make it what it is today. I have to admit the OS is not as appealing on first glance. Some elements are really not all that logical. In fact, I would say at times some things are almost confusing. For instance, finding out about the battery usage, settings, app manager, device monitor, battery. In my mind, that's not logical. I'm looking for power or battery within the settings. With all this said though, it is a very functional, reliable, tried and tested platform. Today, much more of the OS is built for the consumer rather than just the enterprise concerned about security. What is essentially your home screen is a display with all the open or running apps. Useful it is, as the tiles are updating and can be moved about, but they just feel a bit odd. You can reorganize them, but the whole process is a bit slow and you cannot resize them. I think I and many others have got used to our home screen showing app shortcuts. There is a quick settings shade, pull down from the top of the screen and get quick access to the key settings, which you can change with less clicks. With touchscreen functionality, there are on-screen gestures just like any other touchscreen smartphone. Advanced interactions such as lift to wake up, flip to mute and save power are all nice touches and take this very professional feeling device and make it feel a bit more practical for the everyday. We've all been there when our phone rings and we need to stop it quickly. Just flip it over. Blackberry Hub is superb. It keeps all your messages in one place, and I think with a bit of learning can be very powerful. On first use, it is a little daunting and overly complicated. Give it some time and try it out, and it's very good. Blackberry Assistant is available on the Classic. A long press on the button on the right side of the device and you're launched into the listening element. Learn the best keywords and phrases and the whole concept works. It's just slower and not as capable as the alternatives. Nice touches include getting it to read messages to you or creating a note such as buy milk. Handy when driving. On a positive, the OS does handle documents and work-related content well, and the keyboard comes into its own when replying to lengthy messages or writing that document. BlackBerry World remains the main portal for finding the apps you want to use. There is a wide selection, but some big titles are missing. There are two other options though. Amazon's App Store is pre-installed that has a database of Android apps that can run on the Classic, meaning many of the apps that were missing are now available. For the more tech-savvy, whilst not the strict way to do it, you can source .apk files of popular Android apps and install on the Classic. Not all will work and none are tested to work, but many run fine. An immensely powerful feature aimed more at the business user is BlackBerry Blend. Essentially speaking, after an initial pairing process, you can remotely access and use features of the Classic on another PC, Mac, iOS or Android device via a USB connection or Wi-Fi, subject to the device used. It offers access to things like email, SMS, BBM, contacts, calendar and file manager. What is important to note here is that all the content remains on the Classic, all the processing is done by the BlackBerry, and no trace is on the other device other than the Blend application. The Classic does support 3 and 4G. Of course, no smartphone will be complete without NFC, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, DLNA and GPS. You do too have the added benefit of video out with a slim port adapter. The addition of wireless charging would be nice, and maybe micro HDMI rather than slim port would have been simpler for many. Ideally, the Classic would have front-facing stereo speakers, but in fact, it is a single speaker made to look like stereo speakers mounted on the bottom of the device. By no means the loudest and most certainly directional in the amplification of the sound, the actual tone of the audio is good and clear, and there is little evidence of it being strained or the speaker rattling around inside the phone case. The only disappointment is that the sound is considerably stronger from the right speaker grille because a single speaker is in the Classic rather than the stereo speakers which it gives the impression of. With an all-round pleasing sound from the speaker, it is great to see such transitioning to the call and audio recording too. It has been very good in our testing and find it difficult to really fault it. Cameras on a BlackBerry have never been the best. They have always produced solid results. The Classic continues this trend. The results are not perfect, but they are considerably better than many other cameras. An 8-megapixel camera with LED flash and 1080p HD video recording can be found on the rear, whilst a 2-megapixel camera is available on the front for selfies and video calls. The physical camera shutter button in this case is the optical trackpad or the up and down volume keys. You can pinch and zoom on screen to get closer to the subject if you choose. There are quite a few options when it comes to shooting stills and videos, from the resolution to the ratio to the mode, as well as video stabilization. The camera app really is reasonable, with features such as the ability to be able to capture stills whilst recording video and also turn the video light on and off as you are recording. The autofocus is a little slower than I would have liked to have seen, but the fairly decent results make up for it in my mind. The darker colours could be lightened up a little if I was to be critical. Indoor shots under artificial light often had more of an orange tone to the shot, which is not uncommon, but it does not ruin the shot. Post-capture, there are too a few editing options available to make the results more personal and to your taste. A fixed internal battery totaling 2,515 mAh is built into the Classic. This is not the largest capacity, but with the size of screen on the device and the keyboard, this is capable of up to 2 days. If you find yourself attached to your phone a full working day, I mean like 7 AM through to 10 PM is possible, but an overnight charge might be useful to see you through the next. Lighter users will definitely achieve 2 days subject to usage. The Classic is set to retail around the £350 price point, including VAT when purchased SIM-free. As with any piece of technology, over time the price will settle slightly, and I would not be surprised after 3 or 4 months it will be around $299. Whenever you obtain a classic, if you choose to, I wholeheartedly believe you're getting excellent value for money, from the design and rigidity of the unit to the functionality it offers. Even if you were not originally considering a Blackberry, you might want to at this price. The Blackberry we knew and many loved is firmly back with the Blackberry Classic, and indeed it has what it takes to win the hearts of many. But is it too late? Even though I was never a massive Blackberry fan, the Classic is appealing with the physical keyboard, great battery life and increased consumer focus that it offers, in part helped by the Amazon App Store. It performs well and offers a sound solution. The Classic is still at the core about getting things done, but in a form factor and at a price point that works for many. It is not perfect, but few phones are. One thing for sure is that 2015 will be the year that BlackBerry reaffirm their commitment to mobile and remind people of just what they're capable of.